like I had a session for a client who asked the question for his higher self, what would be the best food for him to eat? And, to help him in his development. And his higher self beautifully said that, well, what do you choose to experience? Because you're here to be human. And then he was like, but, what about meat? And higher self was like, well, that meat is essentially you as well, and you can allow yourself to be grateful for the experience of having that experience as well. So what we want to always do is, again, separate and level. And this is right. Yeah. This is right. But higher self so beautifully came from that neutral perspective once again, saying, you are here to have a human experience. If you feel like eating a piece of chicken, have it, enjoy it, be grateful for the chicken and experience it for what that experience is. If you're going to go guilt yourself, this is where you're going to, find yourself in that perspective again of separation. This is wrong, this is right. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, since you brought this up, so I love it because I yesterday actually had a brief conversation with my soul sister about, because she's a vegan and stuff, and her and I talked about how much we really love, but she's not like one of those like pushy vegans, she does it for herself, and the intention is that everyone reaches their joy and whatever brings them joy, right? So but we were both talking about how much it brings us joy to watch those videos of like the farms, the rescue farms where they like cuddle with the cows. Have you ever seen them? They're like the cutest thing, like where you just cuddle with the cows. And because you know me, I naturally read vibration all the time, and I communicate to everything. I always communicate to all the energies, right? And so one time this video came up and I saw this sweet lady, she was just embracing this cow, and I just had this beautiful moment. It was just so beautiful. And so I communicated to that energy that I was feeling, and what I received was that alone is in process of integration. So four-dimensional aspect is in its own process of expansion and integration within that frequency. And as we are collectively integrating and elevating and transmitting, I have received that even our food chain is in process of integration and elevation, So like you said, if for a moment you want to eat a piece of chicken, eat it and enjoy it and be grateful that it's there, because eventually that food chain is going to integrate into another frequency where the animals that were naturally put for human consumption are no longer going to vibrate at that frequency, where they're going to be animals that are for human consumption. So for this moment of where we are right now, respect it, enjoy it, and don't guilt yourself for it. You know what I mean?
Yes. And the most important is, I would also say, don't make it wrong,
Yes.
Whenever something is made wrong, what are we essentially doing there? We're polarizing again. We're saying one thing is more valid than another.
Than the other.
And instead of enjoying the experience, because when you do enjoy the experience for what it is and, send the gratitude, that frequency resonates and vibrates exactly within the choices of that actual chicken as well. You
Yes.
know?
I was just gonna say that. I love you
Yeah.
so much. Yes.
And the other thing is, but then people will, many times when I have this conversation with someone, they'll be like, but what about the cruelty that animal went
Mhm.
through to get to your plate? And what I usually would say is, because you just thought about that, you created that experience. You don't know where
Yeah.
the chicken came from.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a chicken that was a free range, you know,
Yeah.
maybe it was a chicken that was in a, confined. The thing is, if you're going to focus on that experience, you're essentially creating that experience, bringing that traumatic experience into your,
Yeah.
energy, and focusing on that, because wherever your energy, your focus goes, your energy flows. Instead, you can view the chicken with a whole new perspective, which is a new perspective from the neutrality. There's no coincidence that new and neutrality sounds very much similar, because you essentially creating within the moment. You
Yes.
have chicken on your plate. I'm grateful for this experience. That chicken doesn't have a past, nor does it have a future. You
Future.
don't have a past, you don't have a future. You're in the moment. You're allowing the experience to be valid. Just
Yes.
like what we were talking about just now.
Yes.
Allow it to be what it is. Some
Yes.
chicken for today. I mean,
With
that's
yes.
so.
And that's also the aspect of unconditional love without judging not
Yeah,
only yourself and your actions, but also judging your food essentially, right? Judging that experience and also it brings that disrespect, and the minute that you come into the judgment and the disrespect, you lose the essence of unconditional love, and you lose the essence of that soulfulness, that zero
yeah,
point, that potential of your the potential of who you are, your essence, right?
yes.
So but okay, this is an interesting conversation because my natural question to you would be, so, how do we integrate from suffering if we don't, if we make it okay? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm?
if we, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if we say, but we don't make it okay. Okay, so what you're saying, it's not that we're making it okay, we're placing no judgment at it. It is what it is, right? But is that what creates the integration?
Okay, so well, I'm receiving communication now, and
Yes, let's
there,
do it. Let's do it. I love
what
it.
what what my team is saying to me is, when you are going to think in the capacity of, but are we making suffering okay now? They're saying that is a perspective that you need to shift from first. So
Yeah.
shifting out of that perspective of externalizing it again, bring it back to self, bring it back in. So focus on your experience only, not the world at large. If you want to shift from, suffering,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
making suffering okay. It's bringing in suffering, what you experienced in your
Inward.
past,
Mm-hmm.
and integrating that into, this is an experience I had, communicating with your team. Why did I have this experience? Oh, I needed to learn XYZ, to help me understand a bigger perspective from both perspectives, bringing it again back into the
That's
zero point.
zero.
This
Mm-hmm.
is essentially where you remember your wholeness, and then what we would call heal from that past experience.
Right.
So,
That's how we integrate it. Yeah.
yes, so you come back to self when
Yeah.
we are not making suffering okay. We're seeing it as, okay, I had this experience. This is something I want to elevate out of.
Right.
I would elevate from this experience into feeling okay again, into feeling good, into feeling whole again. because that experience has me feeling that I'm missing a part of myself. So essentially not feeling whole, you see. So the only way you can shift out of suffering is not focusing externally, focusing on you.
Even internally. I absolutely, I think,
communicate with your higher self, understand from your higher self why that was necessary to experience, and then come back into the 0 point where you can hand it over to the higher self to integrate it for you. This is why I absolutely love working with my higher self, because we tend to always dismiss those parts. Oh, I don't want that suffering I had. I don't want it. You see, and that's separating ourselves further away from why we had that experience.
Well, now, not only that, but my higher self always tells me what makes you perceive that as a suffering. It's because your emotion is telling you that it doesn't feel good. But even the word suffering itself creates a judgment within the experience, right? So if we're staying in an unconditional love center, even the word suffering or working with the word suffering, it creates the judgment and disrespect of the experience, right? We also, besides unconditional love, we have to keep respect for the experiences, whether it's our own or of the outer world. And that's how we integrate, and that's how we, like you said, if we do it inwards ourselves individually, then imagine if all the individuals did that work of that 0 point within themselves, then collectively we integrate and shift as well, right? That's what I'm understanding from what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And
I can give you an example, as well, of how I took something that most people would say is a suffering into that wholeness perspective, or 0 point. Like, as you know, I had a chronic illness that there was no treatment for. And, the first way we experience that kind of experience is, oh my gosh, what did I do to deserve this, And you would be like, going through the suffering and trauma and ICU and, medications and treatments. And, it's a very traumatic experience from, that perspective.
Again, more titles, more measurements, more titles, more levels, right? It feels traumatic. It feels like you're suffering. Higher self is saying, this is your perception. In your highest potential, it's just an experience of expansion. That's all there is, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No problem. That's really perfect, what you said. And, when I decided to shift towards understanding why I was having that experience, this is where I learned to understand the bigger picture of this experience. And it's quite difficult to explain it into words, but if you summarize it down, what happened to me is I fell in love with the experience to a point where it was so resonantly vibrating at a frequency that it couldn't survive in the perspective that I was.
I love what you're saying, because it's not vibrating at that vibration. So it has no choice but to elevate.
So because I shifted my perspective, eventually I realized that I can actually choose what I want to create from this experience. And then higher self communicated to me, if you didn't have a canvas to paint on, you wouldn't be able to paint a picture. So see, let's say the canvas was the illness, and the painting is the, what you create from the illness. you wouldn't have the opportunity if you didn't have the two polarities to learn to create. You see, so
I love that. So the canvas is the experience, and the painting you create is the outcome you want out of that experience.
yes, and
by
yet,
choosing what conscious you want to operate at. So you can choose to operate at whatever measure of consciousness that's available to you, because all of them are always available to us. It's not like one gets taken away or one gets replaced, right? They're all always available to us. All dimensions, all consciousness, all vibrations, all frequencies, right?
yes, exactly. And what I love about that analogy that my higher self gave to me is because let's just look at the strength card here. It's just lying here on my table. Let's say the card is the canvas and the picture on the card is the creation or the choice that you would choose to have. You wouldn't have this picture if you didn't have the canvas.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The one complements the other, and this is why both are so valid to be experienced.
Yeah.
And this is why, anyone who has an experience of whatever suffering they might have, or illness or experience that does not feel good, has the opportunity to paint whatever they want on that canvas.
Not only that, not only that, but I want to bring fully the awareness, right? Because we are shifting the awakening into the awareness. I love that shift, the integration between those two words, right? So the awareness is that, again, don't judge the experience, don't disrespect it.
Yeah.
Like, you have the choice. Like you said, the canvas is being put before you. You have the choice how you want to the painting to come out. And if you take on the energy of that unconditional love, which is the neutrality, the soulfulness of who you are, there is no way, I'm sorry, there's no way you will have a shitty experience. It doesn't vibrate at that frequency when you move through with unconditional love. And there was something else actually that I wanted to bring up as I was hearing you talk about that. The judgment. Okay, so because it's a tough, it's a really like you and I had some really tough conversations, and we're not sure how people are gonna receive. Right? Is being in that true unconditional love. With that comes having the respect for your soul's choices of the life experiences. So what I mean by that is the rape, the violence, the all of that. When you are able to bring the awareness of the purest unconditional love into that experience, that's how you integrate it, transcend it, and elevate it. Instead of judging it and saying this is wrong, this is, oh, it needs love, whatever, like it needs this, it needs that. If you can look at that experience and say, I have full respect for these souls, for these beings, and for the experience that they chose to have, because everything is a choice. You choose the vibration of the flow, right? They chose to have. And instead of judging it, I'm going to stay in my soulfulness, in my neutral point zero space, in unconditional love. That's how that experience will integrate, right?
Yes, absolutely agree. And yeah, I just want to emphasize again. So when we talk about suffering, we're not making suffering okay. You're going into your own experience, focusing on coming back to yourself, because essentially nothing is external to you.
Yes.
Coming back into yourself. And when you come back into yourself, this is when you can understand, the experiences that you have is an opportunity to create. Because
Yes.
if you didn't have that contrast, then we wouldn't create anything. We will just be in the light.
Yes.
If we didn't have a canvas, if the canvas didn't exist, then we wouldn't be able to have an experience. This is why what we refer to as positive and negative are both valid experiences. And whatever is happening there in the external world, yes, it's okay to pay attention and know about it, but come back to self. Whenever there is something going on there and it's affecting you, come back to self first. Why is it affecting me?
Right.
Because all the suffering, okay, that suffering is maybe not, you're not making it okay, but let's come back to what in me is a canvas for me to create from. Why is this triggering me? Why is this triggering me so much? Why is it affecting my day so much? What can I do when I come back within me? Maybe in that moment, knowing that suffering going on over there, you can come into your center and then envision peace, envision a peaceful experience. Maybe you would like to send a peaceful experience to yourself or to those people. Because when you do that, what you're doing is you're creating on the canvas that your experience has just provided for you.
Yeah.
And it can come forward as an external experience like that. But you're not making the suffering okay. You're just bringing it in so that you can do your part, which is shine your light.
Exactly.
Shine your light.
Shine your love. Yes. Light, love, your best essence. Yes.
Because when you shine your light, other people sees and feels that light. And then they're like, I want to shine my light as well.
Yeah.
And it goes like this, boom, 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 all over the world, until it reaches wherever that is. You see? So shine your light and focus on you. That is what I feel. Because if we focus on ourselves first, essentially what we're doing is we're doing that terms that they always refer to: service to self, service to others. One is negative, one is positive. They're both valid. Service to self is service to others, and vice versa.
And vice versa. Well, I also feel that when we are in the element of spirituality, we are so conditioned in that energy to always want to fix. We must fix this. We must make better. We must, this is not right. This is right. This is darkness. This is light. This is, and that is being also integrated when you start have the awareness of all of that is, like you said, complements each other. And there has to be full respect for those experiences, because we have to remind ourselves that there are souls that are undergoing through karmic like elevation, you know what I mean? They're going through karmic expansion, and it's not our job to fix anything.
No.
So when we integrate ourselves into that awareness and consciousness of, I'm gonna be in 0 point and I'm just gonna focus on creating the best life for me, and that energy will reflect outward, and anybody that comes into that field will have no other choice but to vibrate at the same frequency and energy that I am vibrating at. And that energy alone will allow them to integrate their own experiences and elevate their own energies and frequencies without me having even to do anything, without me
Yeah.
having to fix anything or judge anything. Just like you said, go in and do this, and your energy creates this ripple effect, and that's how we collectively shift. But see, like being in that other consciousness where we take on the spiritualist hats and we walk around and love and light to the world, love and light to the world. I must fix you, you must heal, you must. So many people get stuck in that conditioning of, I'm constantly broken, I constantly have to work on myself, I constantly have to heal myself, I constantly, that's staying at the vibration of not good enough.
Mm.
That's staying at the vibration of, I am not whole, and therefore the world around me is not whole because my energy ripples. So if I am not whole, if I don't have that conscious awareness that I am not whole, everything in my experience gonna be unholy, right?
Exactly. Again, well, we're circling right back to the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah.
With the different dimensional perspectives. And what the different dimensional perspectives are is what we choose to create, what we choose to experience. What do you choose to feel like? What do you want in your experience as a human? Shift your perspective by, stepping into that power and that creator. Because when you shine that light, everyone else sees that light and wants to be like, but I can do that too. I can also be, step into what I love and step into what, like this is what you were just saying as well. We don't need to convince anyone or awaken anyone. All you need to do is shift your perspective, because as you shift yours, other people's will be like, wow, oh my gosh, I want to feel like that. I want to be that creative. I want to bring out that talent that I know I have,
I want to be a part of that energy. Yes.
Exactly. Your energy that you focus which is your zero, your soulful being, that soulfulness, that is your authenticity. And authenticity, whenever you come across that frequency is so, so magnetic. Whenever you see someone in their authenticity or in their passion, it's like, whoa, I need to see this. I need to pay attention to this, because essentially what they're showing you is your own light.
Yes.
Through their light. Yeah.
Yes.
It's beautiful, actually. It's beautiful.
It really is beautiful if we allow ourselves to take a moment and take all these things that we were conditioned to perceive and believe and just drop, like you said, into that 0 point within ourselves. I mean, magic happens. And if we keep moving forward with that energy, with that frequency, with that consciousness, being in that neutral space, your vibration reflects. It reflects you. It reflects on the world around you. It's like a ripple. It flows. Energy flows, and you can reach so far. And this is not to. I want to remind to whoever's gonna see this or hear this. This is not to have any disrespect to the souls that are going through some very challenging moments and times and experiences. What we want to say to you, what we are trying to say to you, that we have full respect for the journey that you are on. And you have always the decision of how you want to continue on painting on that canvas that you have.
Yeah.
If you want to continue with that same energy of this is challenging, this is tough, this is hurtful, this is painful, there is no judgment here. We will, like, we're always here to hold space, to love, to support whatever it is that you need. But have the awareness that it doesn't have to be so. And when you start working through that awareness of, oh, okay, I have the choice to shift my consciousness and integrate myself out of this experience to the experience that I want to have. That, I think, that is the conversation that you and I are having. And that's the difference in consciousness flow. I don't even want to call it dimensions anymore, because it's all what it is. It's a conscious flow. It's just
Yes.
a flow. You
Beautiful.
can
Yeah.
choose, you know?
That is a beautiful way of putting it. Conscious flow. I love that. And yes, it absolutely, the reason we're having these conversations is to help help people understand that they can shift their perspective. I mean, I get this so oftentimes in an email where someone would contact me and be like, I can't connect to my higher self. I can't communicate with my guides. And then the first thing I always say to them when I jump on a call, do a little discovery call with them, I would be like, but what if you can instead? What if you can shift your perspective to,
Yeah.
but what if you can? And then they would be like, but how can I say, but what if I can, if I don't, if I know I can't? They go in circles like this. And then I would say to them, the more you say to yourself you can, the more you convince yourself that you can. And this is what
Yeah.
the difference is between perspectives, is when you shift your perspective on something, you're just totally convinced of the fact that you can actually make that choice and allow that experience.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, many people say to me, but I can't go deep enough in hypnosis. And then the thing that I usually say to them, but what if it's not about the level of depth? What if
Right.
it's about the level of allowance? And this is why I was so happy you said earlier about the word. I love that word allowance, because essentially it is, what are you willing to allow yourself to experience? What do
Yes.
you believe you deserve to experience?
Yes.
And when I went into my first sessions where I started communicating, with the team and with my higher self, my friend Erica, she had the question, but why can she do it and why can't other people not do this? And then higher self said, well, she just believes in the fact that she can allow this for herself, because she's very interested in the unknown kind of experiences. And then the question was also, but what about fear? Why doesn't she have the fear? And what if something else comes in?
Mm-hmm.
And then higher self was so cool, and higher self said, but what if you are it as well? Doesn't that mean doesn't that mean that you can allow yourself to choose to not be afraid of an aspect of yourself,
Yeah.
but see that aspect of yourself as a part that can actually also allow that experience that you are choosing to have right now, which is allowance, which is, why would you be afraid of anything that is you in the end? That brings us to the beautiful topic that maybe we should discuss next time. I would love to discuss the
I have
topic.
so many things I want to talk to you about. I want to
Yeah.
talk to you about destiny and your perception on destiny and shifting destiny. I want to talk to you about, the karmic generational shifts that are happening and how beautiful it is to witness that. I mean, the list goes on. Like, I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Like,
Yeah, me
we
too.
can talk about so many things, but
Yeah.
I
And I
really
think,
did enjoy this conversation too. I really hope that our viewers and our listeners, even if it helps them just a bit to shift their perspective and their
yeah,
consciousness flow, and
and
help
just,
them choose
yeah,
choose and decide that wherever you are in a present moment, you have the total power of choice and decision to how you want your picture to come out, your experience to come out.
exactly. Love that.